I think life is made of highlights,
Yeah.
and you survive because you have those highlights, and
Mhm.
also made by flops. So when you flop, you learn a lot.
What did you flop in?
I flopped big
What's your
time.
worst flop?
It was a soap opera
Oh no.
at the age of 19. Was terrible, and it made me say I will never do it again because
Really?
I'm not made for that. And it was
Oh
like the
wow.
leading lady, the young one, and they cry a lot,
Yes.
and they are dumb. And I was like, please.
Welcome to the actor's side today. I'm so excited too because when I saw this movie, I'm Still Here, I go, whoa, this is amazing. And I saw it very early. And Fernanda Torres has since won the Golden Globe for Best Actress in Drama, and that was history making. And now history making again with a nomination for Best Actress at the Oscars. So exciting and so much acclaim. This is Fernanda Torres. Welcome to the
Hi.
actor's
Thank
side.
you, Pete, for having me.
And congratulations. Isn't
It's
this
a
exciting?
miracle, isn't it?
Well, in a way it is because when you have a foreign language picture, it's hard to
Exactly.
get distribution here, even if it is Walter Salles, the great Walter Salles, who did it, and to get it seen. And not only were you nominated, but I think the big surprise of Oscar nomination day was that the movie got nominated for Best Picture.
Also, a movie spoken in Portuguese with subtitles, which is a barrier here.
Oh, yeah.
So it's awesome.
That shows people were seeing it and really liked what they see, because once they see it, it is such a powerful film. And
Yes, it's such a compelling story that touches people's hearts in a way that films rarely do. In a
yeah,
real way, I think. I think sometimes when I watch the movie, there is a Capra thing about this movie. You have a tragedy, but also have hope. You
yeah,
have like you don't leave the cinema, I think, with the feeling that you are destroyed and that's it. No, you
no,
have a hope in life.
there is hope, and it's wonderful. Oscar nomination day. What did you think? I mean, how did you react and hear about this?
Oh, I was in Lisbon in a brief break in this amazing, it's a crazy campaign to do it. And I refuse to watch on television because I hate expectations.
Yeah.
I hate this feeling of, and then my husband and my oldest son came and said, Nanda, it happened. Then we started to talk, and it's funny because I called Walter, was the first person I called, and he heard about, he didn't watch the television
Oh,
too, and he heard that the film foreign language was chosen and then me, and he didn't hear
Best
the
Picture.
best picture. I said,
Oh.
Walter, best picture also. He said, best picture. So I was the one who gave him the news.
That's amazing. How are Oscars received in Brazil? How is it?
We all know about the
Yeah.
Oscars, not about Golden Globe, not that much, but the Oscars, like we all know some. We have some audience, but we all know about the Oscars, and this Oscar became like a national pride.
Is it
Became yeah,
really?
and it's gonna happen during Carnival.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So
In
and they
Rio?
in Rio and all over. And in Rio, they want to
I want
pop
to go. I want to go to
no
the Oscar. I don't want to go to the Oscars. I want to go to
to
Rio
Rio
with the.
during Carnival, and they want to podcast it in the avenue because we have this avenue where the samba schools parade,
Oh my gosh.
and they're like wanting to, which is dangerous. I mean,
Yeah.
because I don't want people to get upset. I want them to be happy. You see,
Yeah. Right. Oh, you mean?
whatever the results
Oh
are, you
yeah.
see, please. And I think they're like talking to people to be happy anyway
No
with
matter
any
what
of
happens.
course,
My
please.
God,
Yeah,
this is like huge.
dangerous. It's huge. And another funny thing is that in Brazil, to become a fantasy, a costume in Carnival, it's really a big thing. And now
Yeah.
I have a lot of Fernandas parading the streets, dancing during Carnival. It's really,
And your mother, Fernanda, it's so confusing with your family because it's Fernanda,
can,
Fernando,
I
you know.
mean, I keep asking them, why did you do it with me?
I know. The
Don't
mother,
do
the
it.
father, you all have a similar name. It's got to be crazy in that house, you know.
Yeah.
But she's in it playing the older version of your character here. And they could have just made you up and made you older and do that. How did she wind up in that role?
She was there before me. Walter, she was in the film from the beginning.
Oh,
And I was the one who was invited later.
oh,
It's true. And, you know, this is a funny story. It started in Italy.
Yeah.
When we showed it in Venice Film Festival, someone came and said, the makeup artist is amazing. She ages so well. And then we thought it was something from Italy.
Yeah.
But then we moved to Toronto, New York, and the same thing happened.
Yeah.
And when we arrived in LA, they changed for the CGI. Is unbelievable because she ages so well.
Oh, that's
But,
wow.
yeah.
That's so remarkable how this came about and the effect it's having in your long career. You know, is this the highlight? Is this the movie that you've been waiting for, everything leading up to be able to make? Or you've done so much stuff. I mean, when
Yeah.
you look at it, comedy shows, all this stuff on television, books. You are an author. You have written a couple of books. You're a columnist like
Yes.
me. You write
Long columns, which is tough.
You are a journeyman person in this business. You like doing it all, in other words.
Yes, in a way, you see, at the age of 30, I thought I got annoyed with the fact that as an actor, I had to wait for invitations. I understood that as an artist, I could do whatever I wanted. And
Right.
nowadays, especially because people watching things in internet and then on television or cinema, it's so diverse that I could, as an actor, an artist, become a diverse artist.
Right.
And that's what I did. And it gave me so much freedom. So I was not expecting for the great part of my life. I was fine with my life.
Yeah.
But then I had the luck and the chance to portray this amazing woman. I felt a responsibility when I got the invitation, and I did my best to be faithful to her.
I'm Rob Licuria, Senior Editor at Gold Derby, here with actress and author Fernanda Torres, star of Walter Silas's I'm Still Here, otherwise known as Ainda Estou Aqui. That's my best version of Brazilian Portuguese you're going to get today. Fernanda, this movie is so wonderful. And it occurred to me that you are playing with so much material in a very subtle way. And I know that the writers, Murilo Hauser and Heitor Lorega, that script keeps us, the audience, guessing about what is going on with Rubens as he's taken into custody in it's the same position that you're in as his wife. I'm just wondering, with that uncertainty, how did that inform your performance, particularly in that part of the film when Eunice has no idea what's going on and she's terrified, but she's got to keep things together for her family?
Yes, I think the performance and the character lives through the fact that she doesn't know anything, like the audience doesn't know, because her husband didn't tell her in the very patriarchal society, even in progressist families, that he was the guy. She was like totally dependent on him, but she was a very intelligent, not just a housewife. She's a very intelligent woman. They're a very strong couple, but he never told her, because what happened is that he was in exile before. After the coup d'etat in Brazil, he had to go in exile. And when he came back, he promised her that he wouldn't be involved in politicians anymore, because she had to live like 1 year without him with 5 children. So he broke it and didn't tell her. And at the same time, you understand why he broke it, because as a friend says, it's not possible in a situation like that to do not do anything. So she understands it, but at the same time, he leaves her in a position where she doesn't know what is going on. And she discovers that he was involved in the letters, bringing and delivering the letters during the question. How do you say interrogatory?
Into the when you're being interrogated, yeah.
Yeah. So that's when she discovers, and there are so many layers of feelings. I mean, the feeling of being betrayed, together with the fact that she cannot, the guy is using it against her, and she doesn't want to say that her husband has betrayed her. At the same time, he was trying to protect her. So many layers of doubts and anger and fear, and you almost forget that someone is directing it. It looks like real life, which is very rare in the cinema nowadays. We had it in the 70s in films, when Coppola and Scorsese, when they appeared, films smelled, films had like sweat, people looked like normal. But we lost it in a way. We all became a bit plastic in the movies. I don't think if it's because of the superhero era that influenced the whole cinema. We all looked a bit like cartoons, and not in this movie.
Yeah.
Not in Anora. In Anora also. Anora, Sean Baker, people look like real.
Yeah.
And this is tough.
It is tough. That authenticity is not an easy thing to achieve. And I feel like there are certain scenes, for example, the interrogation scenes that you raised earlier. Eunice is held for 12 days, denied contact with her family, and you can hear the screams in the other rooms. During production, when you're filming those scenes, I assume you're very supported by cast and crew, Walter and the producers. But is that difficult to perform and to portray a character who is in such a dangerous situation where you don't want to go overboard?
I was totally afraid to go to that prison, because the house we were shooting, it's a paradise in Rio. It's in Urca, which is a neighborhood that you only have houses, you have the bay with the boats, beautiful lighting. Beautiful. So I just loved to wake up, get in my car. Every day was like listening to Ella Fitzgerald, because I thought was a music that Eunice liked to listen. And I was thinking, my God, what a dream to work in Urca. And one day I was taken from Urca to an awful place to do very heavy scenes. And as we shot chronologically, everything that happened to her was pretty much happening to me. I mean, the day Selton left the film was the day he left the film. It was the day Rubens left the family. And I thought, I'm going to miss him, because I love Selton. It's my great partner. So, and this is Walter again, the chronological thing that allowed us to leave what she left. When I came back to that wonderful place, I was not the same anymore. And the house was not the same anymore. So it helped a lot, you see, to develop some kind of honest emotion inside us.
I have one more question, because we're running out of time, and that is, of course, your legendary mother.
I've talked too much.
No, it's fantastic. Your legendary mother, Fernanda Montenegro. She's one of my favorite actors of all time. To see her on the screen again brought a tear to my eye. And I remember when she was nominated for the Oscar in 1999, I think, for Central do Brasil. And I tell you, I must admit to you, really, it would be so beautiful to see you nominated again for another Walter Salles film. you'd be 59, she was 69. It's almost like the gods are saying this must happen. What do you think?
I think that the presence of my mother and me in this movie with Walter, and repeating in a way a film about Brazil with things to say to the world, because Brazil is very isolated. And once in a while, we have things to say to the world. And Walter is a world director, is a Brazilian director, but he has this connection. So to have this fairy tale of having a movie with both of us, with the probability of another nomination, in a way is to say that art has prevailed. It's prevailed, the word? Is it
Yeah.
prevail,
Yeah,
the word?
prevail. I think you would say prevailed. Yeah, why not?
Yes.
Art wins. Art wins in the end, right?
Yes, art has resisted
Yes.
in a powerful way, that as Eunice teached Marcelo to be the writer that he is, that one day would write the book about her, my mother has taught me about this profession, and she raised me in the theater, and now we do something together that perhaps will make the same path, great path that she did, and that it's so difficult to happen in Brazil due to the language we speak.
Yeah, it's an amazing story. To see the final frame is the family portrait with the older version of Eunice, played by your legendary mother. I had tears, and it's a great film, Fernando. Congratulations on a beautiful.
And you know that in that last scene, a lot of people in that last photographs are Paiva members.
Really?
Yeah.
What a special moment. It's a special film. I hope everyone gets to see it. Thank you for your time today, Fernando. Thank you for your insight.
Thank you
Really
very
appreciate
much for helping us making this film gain some attention.
Thank you all so much for this extraordinary film. I was so completely captivated from start to finish, and I have some questions. I'm sure the audience does too. But I think to begin, I would love to know, Walter, how did the project, what was the inspiration to you to embark on a project of telling the story of Rubens Paiva's disappearance, and specifically with the focus on the perspective of his family and his wife as the starting point?
You know, at the very beginning, when I got to introduce the film, I didn't bring up the personal relationship with the story, because as I came back to Brazil in 1969, I had been living abroad for 5 years, and the country I came back to was very different from the country I had left, because it was now under military dictatorship, and I was personally pretty much at loss, really at loss, until I met this family of 5 kids, and it was Marcelo's family. I became really good friends with his sister, Nalu, and I got embraced by this family. I've been in that house, for almost 2 years, and on a constant level. We drifted to that house because in it you could hear the political discussions that didn't exist anymore, in the exterior of that place. You could hear the music that was forbidden, or the sounds of the Tropicalia that I discovered there. Your sister was so good in discovering music. It still is. And there were no barriers between, adults, adolescents, kids. And so this was completely different from my house, so I was very informed by that. So the moment where this was broken up was for all of us who were in that house at some moment, kind of severed a line. You know, it stipulated a before and an after, which obviously has to do with the moment where the state, when an authoritarian state invades the heart of a family. And that stayed with me for years and years and years, but I never thought of adapting it into a film. I didn't feel authorized to do so on a personal level. It's very difficult to somehow find the right way to relate that something that is so deeply ingrained in yourself. And then Marcelo wrote this miraculous book, this luminous book that really triggered everything, because I'm going to pass it to you, because I'm going to relay now the question to you, because it's so interesting to also to share why you wrote the book. I felt enamored by and really triggered the film. So, please.
Thank you. Good night. It's very interesting to see other people looking how our family was and how we were, and I didn't know that house was so happy and so musical. A lot of musics and the people dancing, and we played football on the street. That is true. And dogs and children of the streets, and I only realized that we was like that because of Walter when he did the film, and for me I was surprised to know. Of course, I lived the difference between before and after, and the house became a restaurant after. And he said his brother said it's a not good restaurant. It's a Switzerland restaurant, and for me it's very, for my family, my sisters and everybody, it's very moving seeing us in the way that he saw us at the time. And this is important. Literature and films and theater are for that, for keep the memory alive at the time. And when I start writing or thinking of writing a book, my mother, which is kind of, for me, only a widow. And I'm the mother with problems as a mother, as all mothers. And sorry, Fernanda, I know that you're a mother. And then I realized that, wow, that woman did that, and those, and she went there, and she changed her life. She became a lawyer. She became working with indigenous people, and my father just died in '71, but she became a kind of leader, you know, with 5 kids, and he created 5 kids in good schools, in good universities, and all of them have master degrees, doctors, are teachers, writer, and. I think she is the real Brazilian woman that we should talk about. That, but she was losing his memory, and I have a kid at the time, and when you have a kid, you realize what memory is when memory became a fact. For example, you said to the boy, "Don't do that, don't do that, don't do that." He forgets. and don't do that. He forgets. And suddenly he knows that he's not able to do that. He's forbidden to do that. Sometimes he do it because it's forbidden, but he learned this is memory, how memory is built. And I try to read a lot of books about memory. There is no books about memory. Few philosophers talk about that. And my mother losing his memory. And the country losing its memory. And the history is losing its memory. Huh? And so I think that memory is the subject that moved me to write the book, to talk about this fabulous woman and his fight, and to keep alive his history. Because I remember when I was in Germany in '94, the Schindler List was showing, and there was lines of young people, young German, 4 years after the reunification, to see the movie about a drama that they was part of. Not they, but their relatives, their grandmother, grandfathers, and the subject was a sort of kind of taboo to be talked to each other. And then I realized the importance of the movie, you know. Scorsese was talking to people nowadays, what's happened years before, and that's why I wrote this book, you know. And I'm very glad to know that Walter is this wonderful filmmaker, bought the right, paid expensive money. I could, and Fernanda is in the project, a friend of mine for so many years, and Celton Mello and so many people. So it's like a family doing the film about my family.
Fernanda, I have to congratulate you on an extraordinary performance. I think it's difficult to imagine Eunice being embodied any other way than this incredibly sort of almost matter-of-fact way in which you embody her, and sort of the clarity that she possesses is so sort of miraculous. And I'm curious, Walter, Marcelo, at what point did you know that Fernanda was Eunice, and how did you, Fernanda, go about drawing out this incredible woman and making her your own?
You know, we did Foreign Land together, our formative movie. I think the movie where you discovered how you like to film, which director you are. And so I thought it was enough for me. It was fine. And I knew he was going to do this movie, but I never thought he would call me. I was a bit older than Eunice in the first part, and I was doing a lot of comedy later. And I thought I had seen too much. And he would never call me, but he doesn't watch television. So he still had that memory. And I became a writer. I was very happy doing theater, whatever. And then he called me one day and said, I'd like to talk to you, okay? And I thought he was going to ask me to do a script to write for him. And then he said, do you want to do Eunice? I said, are you sure? And then from now on, I said, I cannot betray Walter, because what we don't want to see is Walter disappointed with you. So I started really working hard for this. And even for the first lecture, I hired a coach. And I was like preparing myself, because I could feel that I could not make a mistake here, because, I mean, I would go back to comedy forever. And
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Collider Interview Studio at TIFF 2024 at the Cinema Center, brought to you by the Range Rover Sport. I am so lucky to be sitting with the team behind I'm Still Here. What a phenomenal accomplishment. I can't say this enough. Huge congratulations on your film.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Obrigado, as we say in Portuguese.
Obrigado,
Take
muito
that.
obrigado.
I would try to repeat that myself, but I can't say anything like that as pretty as you just did. Clearly, I know about your film, but because it is on the film festival circuit, our audience might not know about I'm Still Here just yet. So would you mind doing the honors and giving a brief synopsis?
So we are with a family. We are in 1970 in Brazil. A very unique family. Their house is open, to the street. There are friends everywhere. And as the country is undergoing a military dictatorship, I think that to live, to listen to music, to exchange ideas was a form of resistance for that family. So we are with that family, and then at a certain moment, something happens and the whole situation shifts. And the film becomes a film about the reinvention of the mother of that family. And it's an extraordinary celebration of the human spirit, of one's capacity not to bend and to confront something that seems to be larger than you, but perhaps isn't. And it was really a labor of love that we did for 7 years.
You feel it while you're watching this. So I did want to ask you about the wait between your last film as a feature fiction director and this one here. I think it's 12 years. Why the long wait, and why particularly the return to that with this story at this particular time too?
Well, first, I love to drift documentaries in between fiction films. So I did a few documentaries in between. And then the pandemic came. And then something really important. We're from Brazil. And for 4 years, we had a regime that didn't allow for cinema to exist. So we had 4 years of silence. So these would be the first part of the answer. But I think that the most important one is that it takes time to find a story that was so moving for us as this one. You know, it takes time to find something that is as special that you want to embrace it and completely forget that life exists. But it was an extraordinary immersion for all of us.
I'm going to get into how special and just the weight of this story too. Now, Walter, I will start with you on that particular topic because you want to do the true events justice, but you're also adapting it to a film. And as fans of your work, we want to see your eye bring this story to screen your way. So what space did you find in the true story that made you think, I have a unique way to bring this to screen?
Well, you know, I had the luck and the privilege to meet that family. So I was in that house. And what I remember from it was the extraordinary vitality of it. So I didn't want, just with the help of incredible actors, just to reenact the life of those characters. I wanted to invite the spectator to be part of that family and to sense what they were sensing, with the same urgency as they were feeling. So I think that the camera is very organic to that kind of life that bubbles in there. And then once destiny, shifts everything, I also wanted you to feel the longing for the one person that will be missed in that family. So the film is all constructed in between those two moments, moment of complete light and joy, and then the fact that we're missing somebody. So, I really wanted to relay the sense of how do we deal with absence, and how can we reinvent itself, and then that changed completely the film grammar that we used, and we worked chronologically. We worked in film in 35 mil because it was really important to get the texture of the time. We wanted to bring the improvisational quality of Super 8 family films in it. So that was an incredible injection of life in the narrative, and we had actors that really reinvented that story every single day. It was a set in which at every end of the day, it felt that we were reaching something new, something that transcended what we were looking for. And that's a very rare little miracle, So we went from little miracle to the next.
Oh, I love that. I have so much I want to follow up on right now. I'll start with my first question for Walter, but repurpose it for both of you. Again, great weight to this material. And I have to imagine it's intimidating and it can be challenging to find the confidence in yourself that you are the right artist to bring these people to screen. So is there a particular moment in prep or on set when you felt that in yourself?
Perfect. That was it. When Walter invited me, I said, my God, I cannot disappoint him, her, Marcelo, because this is a story based in a book that it's the story of Marcelo, who is a young boy in the movie. And one day he writes their own story, because we all knew about Rubens Paiva and what happened, but not in details. And this woman was always hidden in a way because she never felt the need to be recognized by what she was and what she did. And it took like many years for her son to write a book where he says the real heroine of the family is her, that stayed in silence. And I mean, it's a revolutionary, this woman, and in a very private way. So all of these, and to do not act in cliches, you see, to do not do the crying scenes and the melodrama scenes, of trying to really reach a real emotion, something honest. When I saw the movie for the first time, I said, we all look so honest. This is really rare. And I think we got there because Walter created this real house. Sometimes I tell him it's a documentary, it's not even a movie. At the end, when you see the real pictures, you don't feel like, you feel like you saw those people, and this is Walter's way of doing, I mean. So it was 1 year under her skin, I mean, with her under my skin, and very powerful.
I'm so glad you're able to recognize that quality in your own film too. I always wonder, as the artist making it, can you like see what we feel and see while taking yourself out of the experience of having made it, if that makes any sense? So the fact that you enjoyed it makes me happy.
I felt it as an spectator. And also now, only now I understand, we're talking about it. Isn't it, is there a better metaphor for cinema? I mean, you were young, and this house just closed the doors, closed the windows, and it took you a lifetime to reopen it and project it to us. It's the projection of your own memory. This is cinema. So it's a special movie.
Beautiful answer.
Well, it's beautiful to... This part of the process is interesting because you start to talk about what you did, and which is the basis of therapy too. And then you start to realize new levels of what you did. And I'm a big fan of Walter, and it's so touching. I'm a filmmaker too, and I learned a lot as a director too in this process. And because to be simple is the highest level of, a form of expression. And this is what Walter did with this film. It's, you know what I mean? Do you understand what I mean?
Oh, right? Yeah.
I think that's it. I think I make myself clear.
Your point.
Right? Because to be simple, it's so hard. And you have to be a real maestro to do that.
I'll follow up on that briefly while trying to remember my other follow-up question. Is there anything you saw him do that you kind of want to back pocket and now take to your next film, like a particular technique or strategy he uses to direct his actors?
Yes, I learned a lot. I don't know how to use this new tools that I got from Walter. The whole films that he did, but it's beautiful what he got here. I mean, I'm an actor of the film and a big fan of the film.
I love that. I feel like that's all I ever want to hear from artists who pour significant portions of their lives into making these films. So happy I remembered to follow up on this, because you were bringing up the fact that, you know, there was opportunity to kind of improv and find magic in the moment on set. So for each of you, can you recall a time on set when, you know, something changed in a way you didn't expect, taking it from script to screen?
So many moments. I don't know, I remember because we shot the happy part of the family, and it was really happy. It was like, as I said, a documentary, because they are all our friends and we love that family, that children. And one day, the windows were closed, and as an actress, I started to think, my God, that I'm really missing him, Celton, my friend. I'm really missing the son in this house. So this chronological way of shooting, there is one scene with the girl at the end of when they are moving from the house to change cities, to go to São Paulo. This young girl was her first movie. 9 years old, and I know the feeling. I mean, when I did my first movie, the last day of shooting, when you realize that that's over, it's like you want to keep it. At the same time, you had that huge experience. It's another universe, and suddenly it's over. And she was seated, looking, I mean, to the house, people removing the furniture, and beautiful. It was her, and it was at the same time the character. Yeah. So it happened a lot in the movie. So it was that girl that the first time had the actress experience that was seeing the whole thing vanishes, and it was also the character. So it's full of this in the movie.
Young ensemble here is exceptional. I mean, it goes back to how you were describing things before, just like so incredibly raw and honest, and immediately makes me feel like everything about their existence in the moment, but also their history as a family is real and full. And I appreciated that.
You know, there's something that has to do also with the fact that for all of us, it was not about just reenacting characters. It really was about allowing life to surface. So it was really a film about that. It was in this sense very different from Central Station, which came from an original story that I had, or the Motorcycle Diaries, which was based on the book. This was also based on the book, but it was blended with a personal experience. The fact that I had been in the house that was brought back to life, you know, and somehow you don't direct in the same manner. Somehow you're not informed by the same, just purely, I would say, conceptual ideas. There's something that comes in a really subjective manner and somehow finds its way on the screen. It's hard even to describe this by words, because it transcends it. But it's somehow, I believe that a lot of what we live in a film reaches somehow, is on the neg, prints, it's there on the screen, and it reaches that in a non-verbal manner, and a lot of what we did has to do with that.
I think that's a really great way to put it. I think about it all the time, like sitting in the seat, asking people like explain art, explain how you make your art. And it feels like it could be so difficult to put those into words. But so many of the things that you are all saying right now, It's almost like you are pulling the words from my head in terms of how I process the movie while experiencing it. So makes all the sense in the world, and it's very effective. I wanted to make sure to touch on your longstanding collaboration together, and also just because in general in this business, I love forcing longtime collaborators to give each other flowers. So you've worked together before, but is there anything you saw the other do on this set that made even you go, my God, I knew you were talented, but I never realized you were capable of that?
You want to start?
We did. The movie of our youth, Foreign Lands, was like a young movie. He was doing stunts with me, driving cars with me. We were young. We went to Africa just to do one shot in Cape Verde Islands. We were really young, you see. And that was the
So
movie.
young that the film even didn't make it to the TIFF at that point.
Yeah, that's it. And Walter, I think in that movie, realized how he liked, what kind of director he was. He said, I want a small team, like a documentary, and I want to be free. I don't want to have... So he was founded in that film. That film was, I think, when I started to think I could write. Because after that, I wrote books, I write articles in newspapers, and I became a writer, I think, there.
We reinvented that film every single day. And Fernanda, I call her co-author of the film because
That one I accept.
You accept, right?
Not
Okay,
this
that's
one.
good. At the end of that film, just before shooting the very last scene, Fernanda was listening to music just to get in the mood of the last scene, and it was a very dramatic scene because her companion in the film had been just driving to try to bring him to where he wanted to go, and originally we had three pages of screenplay, and Fernanda was singing this, and then suddenly it dawned on me that the song should be the end. She should sing to him, and so we completely altered. We threw away. Screenwriters shouldn't hear that, but we threw away 3 pages of the screenplay that we had written, so that was okay. And we completely reinvented that end. In this film, the story was this film now that we did, and I'm Still Here. We didn't go in that direction, but in the opposite, we tried to work to find the essence of every single scene. Jean-Luc Godard, the French extraordinary director who had great sentences for everything, he says that cinema is about subtraction, is how much you can find really the essential quality of every single scene. And Fernanda truly captured that, and Selton as well, I have to say. In every scene, there's no trick, there's just the essence of the scene. So they both elevated the film to a level that I thought it should have, but I never I dreamt that it could be at that level. So yes, you're co-authors of the film because you went beyond what I could have, thought that we would be.
And just to give my note on that, which is a fun fact or a moving fact, that I was young too, and I was in New York, maybe in 96, and I was there. It was my first trip out of Brazil. So full of dream, living this experience to know a new culture. And then I saw in the newspaper that Foreign Land is on maybe Angélica Cinema.
Probably.
Makes
maybe
sense.
in an art house, very special thing. And then I went there. bought my ticket by myself, and then I watched Foreign Land in New York alone, and I was like, wow, what a beautiful film, what a great meditation on my country, what a great cinematic experience. I mean, I wish someday I want to work with these guys. I mean,
Here you are at TIFF with, again, like really like next level work here. And also just as someone who interviews nonstop in this business, it brings me the greatest joy to just like feel your enthusiasm for the material and the thing you created. And I very much have that feeling right now here. So thank you so much for sharing some of your experience with us, and huge congratulations again on I'm Still Here.
Thanks so much. We're so honored to be here.
Yeah,
Really.
thank you. You were
Thank
great
you.
with us.
and then I gotta tell you, you're a true cinephile, and you managed this interview in a very beautiful way. I just loved this conversation. It was special, different. Thank you very much.
My heart. I appreciate you saying that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.